Hey everyone, I want to say thank you for those who were on the pre-app webinar that we just did yesterday. We're going to be doing another pre-app webinar on Wednesday /listing booster. And what we're going to show you is how you can integrate the leads that we're generating from Listing Booster, and we can back that in with an auto response pre-app to the phone of those whose business you covet, who are responding to your Listing Booster properties. This may sound complicated and long-winded. It's not. Just make sure you go to the webinar next Wednesday. All you have to do is click this banner right over there. All right, everybody, so rates are great. We all know that. But according to the Mortgage Bankers Association, applications actually fell by 3.5% last week. So why is that? See, we in the industry are conditioned to think that rates alone dictate the market. When rates drop, people buy, they cash out, and they refinance, right? That's pretty much always been the case.
But not so much now. Kind of like in the secondary market, we could assume that someone would hold their note for 5 to 7 years. That was the model, right? But post-apocalyptic housing market crash, things changed. Rates dropped below levels anyone writing loans has ever seen. And folks who bought houses in the new era after 2008 quit cashing out, refinancing, and selling to move up. Overnight, people began to nest. So the model broke, and now loans are bought and sold with the understanding that the average loan life will be 8, 10, 12 years.
It's simply a new era, and it's the same thing with these refinances and what we just heard about applications dropping. Rates hit the floor, the historic floor, lowest levels ever, and applications, they fell. I mean, the laws of our mortgage physics just broke.
Because the models changed. Those who could refi, they have refied or don't want to refi. Because 27 years left on a 4% note just sounds better than going back into a 30-year note at 3.25%. That's our new model, man.
So on yesterday's show, we showed you how that the last and only time rates hit this historic low was back in 2012. We also showed you that immediately afterwards, we saw rates spike up.
So our thinking here is, if we see a click up in rates, even a marginal click up of say 3/8 to 0.5%, the already dropping refis will make a much larger shift. They won't dry up, but understand, the prosperity in refis we see today will be fundamentally different in the very near future. So please, plan accordingly.
Okay, this really doesn't have a whole bunch to do about our show, but I thought it was kind of funny, and it is real estate related. Because I'm not involved in it, I find it funny. But I did spend the last couple of years watching this skyscraper right here get built in earthquake-prone, most expensive real estate in the world, San Francisco. And I always thought to myself, I mean, who could afford to live here?
So for those of you in the Bay Area, when you go over the Bay Bridge, it's that new big building on the right-hand side. Anyway, it turns out San Francisco Giants right fielder with a $20 million annual contract, Hunter Pence, and San Francisco 49ers Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Montana, they can afford to live there. Me? Hey, not so much.
Okay, so here's why it's funny in a not so funny way. This newly built high-rise condo building, it's sinking and it's falling over. No joke. I mean, I don't think this place has been open for even a year yet, and it's already sunk 16 inches and it's tipping over like the Tower of Pisa. Why?
They built it on soil, didn't go down to bedrock. And they built primarily with cement, not steel, which apparently is a lot heavier. And I'm thinking, cement's probably not so good for earthquakes, especially for a leaning, sinking high-rise. Anyway, let's move on.
Told you there's nothing to it. It's just when you look at this thing every day, it's like, oh my God, $4.5 billion. What they're saying right now is that it's sinking not because of who built it, but it's sinking because all the building going on around has affected the soil. So the homeowners want to sue the builders want to sue the contractors want to sue the people building around them. This whole thing is a total nightmare and very, very typical for California. Anyways, okay, I got a question for you. You probably saw this post on Facebook. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. A loan officer loses her job for a racist tweet about Michelle Obama. Now, I looked at the post and yeah, it was racist. Now, I believe we're all too hypersensitive about race issues and throw around the term like you're a racist way too easily these days. With that said, this statement was racist.
Now, okay, we think she should have lost her job because as an employer, you just don't want or need this type of crap associated with your brand. Totally makes sense. Totally get it. However,
Industry insider Mark Savitt responded to this post and he said dumb, inappropriate, and yes, a racist comment. However, she committed no crime or violation of the law. Her comment wasn't directed at a client. On what ground should she lose her NMLS status? In fact, her dumb comments are covered under the First Amendment. Her employer fired her because they were getting heat on social media. What about BLM and the new Black Panther Party when they call for the killing of whites, including babies? Shouldn't they lose their jobs too? If everyone lost their jobs for making dumb comments, unemployment would be at 95%. If stupidity was a crime, we would need to build more jails. Real quick side note before Frank comes up, of course, Mark, if anyone says kill a baby, anyone would lose their job and everybody would be up in arms. So let's not assume that wouldn't take place.
so here's the question. Not should she have been fired, but should a publicly posted, clearly racist statement be grounds for the loss of one's license in this industry? Now, I understand this type of speech is covered by the First Amendment. We're not talking about her going to jail. We're talking about her losing her license, which, like other licenses, are held to different standards than the First Amendment. Now, let us know your comments down below. We'll share a few on a future show. By the way, any stupid, over-the-top, offensive, and or racist comments will be pulled. We'll give you leeway, but let's try to keep some civility.
So my knee-jerk reaction is she should be fired, never be back in the industry, which I still hold true. But that's on grounds that I, as an employer, I wouldn't want to be associated with a person like that.
Right.
But the question is with a federal license,
Right.
you know?
Do you deserve to lose your federal license because you made a racist comment?
Right.
I mean, I don't know.
Where do you come out on it?
I don't know. I think no. You know, just my knee jerk. You don't lose your license, but you know, good luck getting hired. Maybe.
Right.
You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, let us know your thoughts down below. You guys have a great day. Forward, share, subscribe for free in the upper right hand corner. We'll catch you later here at the National Estate Post.
Wednesday's webinar.
Wednesday's webinar.
Bye.
Bye.